Hello, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
And today is our news unit for the month of October. It's also our all-English unit, or at least one of them. And in this particular case, we're talking about a couple of news stories that you might be interested in. We've got something about motion sickness and how to cure it, or how to handle it. And then we've also got something about the dire wolf coming back from extinction. They figured out a way to muck around with its DNA and bring it back to life.
Yeah, if you muck around, you're kind of playing around with something that you should probably be more careful with. I think this could cause more problems. There's a reason why certain animals or certain species are no longer on the planet, and we should just leave nature alone. That's what I say. We're going to talk more about that, though when we get to that particular story. Right now, we're going to listen to both stories read aloud. News Watch. Soothe your motion sickness with Sound Spice. There's good news for anyone who feels uncomfortable during car rides or boat trips. A research team at Nagoya University Graduate School of Medicine in Japan has discovered that listening to a special sound for just 1 minute can help relieve motion sickness. They're calling it Sound Spice. This unique sound plays at 100 hertz, Hz, and can activate the vestibular system, known as the body's balance system, within the inner ear. In tests, participants who were briefly exposed to the sound experienced reductions in common symptoms of motion sickness, like nausea and dizziness. What makes this discovery even more appealing is its minimal impact on physical health. The sound treatment operates at roughly the same volume as everyday background noise and only needs to last for 1 minute to be effective. The researchers plan to apply this breakthrough technology in various transportation settings. They envision installing these sound systems in long-distance buses, airplanes, and ships, potentially transforming travel experiences for many people with motion sickness.
Ancient DNA brings back dire wolf. A U.S. biotech company, Colossal Biosciences, has announced the successful revival of the dire wolf, a top predator that went extinct thousands of years ago. This news is stirring up excitement and debate. Scientists used ancient DNA extracted from fossils, including a tooth that was at least 10,000 years old and a skull estimated to be over 70,000 years old. By editing and combining genes, they modified the DNA of a gray wolf and successfully brought the dire wolf back to life. However, the resurrected creature has sparked scientific and ecological concerns among experts. Some argue that it is not a true dire wolf. It is genetically a gray wolf with some dire wolf traits. Others worry that if released into the wild, it might disrupt modern ecosystems and harm existing wildlife populations. Despite these concerns, Colossal Biosciences has big plans for the future, aiming to bring back the woolly mammoth by 2028. This ambitious goal raises broader questions about humanity's role in nature and the ethics of de-extinction. Okay, everybody, it's time for us to discuss the contents of our lesson for today. We're first of all going to talk about motion sickness. Okay, motion sickness is when you get sick because you're moving in a car or on a bus or in an airplane or on a boat. Have you ever experienced motion sickness before, Stephanie?
Oh, yeah, I've bad car sickness. I have seasickness. And if I'm in a plane and it can't land, it's been told it can't land yet, and you have to keep circling around the airport. Oh boy, yeah, I get air sickness too.
I don't get that so bad. I've only gotten really seasick once when I was on a boat going from Lanyu, Orchid Island, to Green Island. The ocean was just really rough that day, and I puked my guts out. I just kept throwing up and throwing up. Even if I didn't have anything left to throw up, I was still throwing up with those dry heaves, as we call them. And there was also one time I got motion sickness when I was on a ride at an amusement park because the guy was being nice to me and my daughter, and he said, I'll let you, ride on this ride longer. And it just kept going on and on and on, and I started to feel kind of woozy.
Yeah,
kind
dizzy.
of ready to sort of throw up. And I signaled to the guy, okay, that's enough. Thank you for the extra time, but I'm about to throw up.
Was it those spinning teacups?
No, it goes up in the air. I think it was like the octopus or something like that, where it just spins around, but it also goes up in the air.
Oh.
So, yeah, maybe just a minute of that is enough, but yeah, 2 or 3 minutes is probably going to make you have motion sickness.
Yeah.
So you want to soothe your motion sickness. If you soothe something, you kind of make it feel better. Or you might want to soothe someone's feelings, for example, if they feel bad about failing a test or something, or breaking up with their boyfriend or whatever. You try to soothe them, to calm their nerves, to make them feel better. Well, life still goes on, love or tests aren't everything. So yeah, you try to soothe someone's feelings. In this case, you want to give relief to motion sickness.
I wanted to mention before we move on, Tom used a verb that's kind of slang. Instead of saying vomit, which is probably the most formal way of saying throw up, we grew up saying throw up more. You can also say puke. And it's more slang, but you'll hear it. Puke your guts out. Your guts is just the stuff in your stomach that you've eaten. And if maybe you haven't eaten and you're still sick, you have what Tom referred to as dry heaves. You still kind of go, ugh, which is horrible, and nothing comes up. We also will soothe babies when they're crying, right? You pick up that little baby and you kind of pat their backs, walk around, kind of moving them up and down to see if you can soothe them. Well, supposedly, we're going to be able to soothe people's motion sickness very soon because of a smart company in Japan that invented something we're calling sound spice.
Right, that's interesting. Sound doesn't really taste like anything, but let's find out what this is all about. There's good news for anyone who feels uncomfortable during car rides or boat trips. Okay, so these are times when you can experience motion sickness. You could say you're car sick or you're seasick. You could say that. And we've got a research team at Nagoya University in Japan. It's the Graduate School of Medicine there. And this particular school has discovered that listening to a special sound for just 1 minute can help relieve motion sickness. Now, here we've got the word relieve. That's similar in meaning to soothe. You usually take medicine to relieve symptoms, for example. If you're coughing, you might take some cough medicine to relieve your coughing so you don't cough so much.
Yeah, that can really help. So we're going to talk about this particular team. It's a graduate school, so they're graduate students doing some research there, and they have discovered this special listening device or sound. It's actually sound that helps. It's amazing. I love the name, though, Sound Spice. Of course, we use spices when we cook food, but I think maybe Sound Spice just means it kind of settles whatever is you've eaten already, settles it in your stomach or your tummy, you could say. I don't know. I'd love to talk to them about why they named their product Sound Spice. It's kind of fun. So as Tom said, it's supposed to relieve or lessen that feeling of dizziness or sickness that you get that makes you want to throw up. It's a horrible feeling. So they're calling it Sound Spice. If you see that little R that has a circle around it, it means it's been trademarked. You can't name your new invention, Sound Spice. They've taken it already. So it's something that belongs to that company. And if you want to use that, you're going to have to pay them. So that's the trademark symbol there. This is a unique sound. It plays at a certain hertz, 100 hertz. So that's kind of the trick to all of this. They're discovering more and more, scientists these days, that our whole world runs on energy waves. And if you hit the right waves, you can change things. You can make people calm down. You can make them upset if it's the wrong energy wave level. Maybe some of you out there have tried the sound waves that help you go to sleep at night. Supposedly, they're at the right wave level that just calms your body down.
Indeed. So we're talking about A measure of sound here, that's a hertz, and usually human hearing can go from 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. And, of course, if you're listening to the radio or something, the signal is measured in megahertz, which means 1,000 hertz or something like that. So that's how they measure that. And, again, this is 100 hertz. So that would be kind of low, I suppose, not too high, kind of low in the sound spectrum there. I'm pretty sure I could hear that. And it can activate something called the vestibular system. I hope I said that right. If you can activate something, you just start it. You get it to start working. You get it active to activate something. You might want to activate your credit card. When they send you a credit card, you have to call a number to activate your card so that you can start using it. And the vestibular system, well, that has to do, what does that have to do with?
Well, this is kind of the very formal way of talking about the inner ear, which is the way normal people talk about this. Tom and I aren't scientists or doctors, so you're not going to hear us say, I have a problem with my vestibular system. We're going to say, there's a part of my inner ear that's out of balance, or I'm having problems controlling my balance. So it could be a balance system. It's your inner ear system. But the vestibular system is very technical. So if you're a doctor or a scientist, you'll use that. Otherwise, you'll hear people, at least if you go to the States, talk about their inner ear. They're having a problem with their inner ear. If you have a problem with your inner ear, you have a problem balancing yourself when you walk. And what's the worst part of all of it is you feel dizzy all the time. So I had a client here in Taiwan who had a problem with her inner ear and just was miserable for so long till they got it fixed for her. But yeah, it helps you stay balanced when you walk or even when you turn your head. So that's what the vestibular system does. But it's known as the body's balance system within the inner ear. In tests, participants who were briefly exposed or had that sound played for them experienced reductions or a lessening in some of their symptoms that they got if they had motion sickness. And two of those things that are really miserable are nausea and dizziness. You can also say nausea, but and they're both, I hear both of those forms. I looked up nauseous, which is the adjective form. I'm nauseous. I am nauseous. I feel nausea or nausea. If you go to the dictionary, it says you can say nauseous, but please don't say that. No one uses that.
Sounds weird, yeah.
So you're nauseous or you have nausea. A lot of pregnant women out there would understand this. They have morning sickness where they feel really nauseous and they sometimes have to throw up or puke their guts out in the morning, usually before they even eat anything. So I wonder if this could help them too. I hope so.
I was going to go on to say that very few people actually say, I feel nauseous right now. We just say, I don't feel good. I feel like I'm going to throw up. That's what most people say. Nausea is kind of a technical term. But if you hear someone say it, you'll know what it means. And this particular product, this particular technology can help you with these symptoms here, motion sickness, nausea, and dizziness. Now, here's the next paragraph. It says, what makes this discovery even more appealing is its minimal impact on physical health. So here, what does not make this sentence a question here. It's saying the thing that makes the discovery more appealing. What makes this discovery even more appealing or more attractive to people is its low impact, its minimal impact on physical health. It doesn't really affect your hearing. You won't go deaf by using this product. You won't get sick. You won't get cancer or anything. It's pretty harmless.
We hope. that we haven't had it around for long term, so we can't promise everything here. Now, the sound treatment operates at roughly the same volume. How loud something is everyday background noise, just kind of the people talking like that is background noise, and only needs to last for 1 minute to be effective. I would like to actually agree to having them use this sound treatment on me before they do it, but I don't think they're going to ask us, Tom. I think they're just going to start doing it. So we don't know the long-term effects you might want to look into this a little more. Some things that we thought were pretty harmless turned out to be harmful. After we'd had some sort of medical treatment or pharmaceutical pill around for a while, we discovered it wasn't good for our bodies. So check into this just to be careful and sure. The researchers who invented this plan to apply this breakthrough technology in various transportation settings. So they're probably going to start applying this, at least in Japan. That's where it was first invented. So they may be trying it there first before other countries use it as well. Breakthrough just means a really important discovery or a sudden development in a field that changes things a lot. You feel like it's revolutionary. It's changed the whole field quite a bit. Hopefully this helps people and doesn't cause long-term effects that are harmful.
Right. They're going to use it in various transportation settings. A setting is just a situation. It could be people taking ferries from one island to another. Japan, of course, has lots of islands. Or it could be used on a bus that is winding through mountain roads in the Japan Alps there. Of course, they've got lots of mountains there. And people get seasick. Well, I shouldn't say seasick, but they get car sick when they're on a bus in settings like that, in situations like that. And they envision installing these sound systems in long-distance buses, airplanes, and ships, potentially transforming travel experiences for many people with motion sickness. That's a pretty long sentence, so let's break it down. We've got these people, these scientists working on this technology, and they're going to use it or apply this technology in different kinds of settings. And again, they envision installing these systems in various settings. Okay, to envision something just means you imagine this happening in the future. They've got the product, they've got the technology, but they're not quite sure where to use it, or at least they haven't used it yet. So they kind of have to imagine a good place to use it. So they envision installing them in different kinds of transportation. If you install something, you just actively put that thing so that you can start using it. For example, you might have somebody install your air conditioner if you buy a new one, but it's too heavy and you don't know how to hook the wires up and stuff like that. You'll have somebody install it for you to set it up for you.
So this is their plan. They want to install these sound systems in long-distance buses, airplanes, and ships. Potentially, we don't know, but it may transform travel experiences for a lot of people who suffer from motion sickness. Right now, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back to start in on the second article.
Okay, let's continue with the second news story of our All English News unit. We just got done talking about sound spice. You might hear it on a ship near you if you're taking a boat from, Taidong over to Green Island or something. They may be using this technology on that boat so that you don't get seasick, or they may use it in different kinds of settings. Now let's move on to an animal here. We've got something called the dire wolf, and we've got some ancient DNA which has actually brought back the dire wolf. Now, I didn't really know there was a dire wolf. I remember this being actually a song by the Grateful Dead. I don't know if any of you know that band. It's kind of a hippie band from the 60s, and this song is called The Dire Wolf. It's from their Working Man's Dead album, I believe, a very popular Dead album. I'm not going to sing it for you right now, but dire wolf here is actually an animal. I thought that was just a song, but no.
Oh, really?
It's actually an animal that has gone extinct, similar to the woolly mammoth or the saber-toothed tiger. Lots of animals have gone extinct, but I guess they've brought it back.
Oh, they're just doing lots of experimentation right now with DNA. It's getting a little crazy. They're even mixing human DNA with animals, which I think should be illegal, but there you go. But this is one thing they're trying. They're trying, if they can find ancient DNA, they want to see if they can revive it and maybe even produce that extinct animal once again. But I think it's dangerous. There's a reason why that animal is no longer on the planet. And we're going to find out the dire wolf is a pretty a fierce predator. So we'll talk about that in a minute. So we've got ancient DNA. What's DNA? It's that the molecules that carry genetic information in your body. Everyone has different DNA. So if you commit a crime and the police can get a little bit of some DNA that you left behind, maybe through a fingerprint or some blood, they can test it. And if you have your DNA in some sort of database, and nowadays a lot of people do, they can find you. So your DNA is very specific to you and your family, but they can even tell if it's that the DNA that they find, maybe your name isn't in the database. Maybe you have a really bad uncle who's committed a crime. If his DNA is in that database, it will link back to you. So maybe they can tell it's not him. It's not a 100% match, but it looks like family member could be the one they're looking for. So your DNA, protect it. Don't let other people have your DNA. They're bringing back that dire wolf, and we're going to talk about a company that's a biotech company. Biotech is short for biotechnology. But because it's a long word and we like shorter words, we're just saying biotech. The name of the company is Colossal, which means huge, just enormous. Colossal Biosciences. If it's a biotech company, they use living systems, or they work with living systems or organisms to develop their products. A lot of the vaccines these days, they're also biotech companies because they're using old DNA to put in those vaccines.
Indeed. So they have announced the successful revival of the dire wolf. Now here, a revival is when something comes back. It's made new again. Maybe there's an old Broadway show or something that has been brought back that's called a Broadway revival. They're doing a production of it again. In this particular case that we're talking about, bringing back the dire wolf, it's been revived. It's been brought back to life. And it was a top predator that went extinct thousands of years ago. And this news is stirring up excitement and debate. So I'm still not quite sure exactly why they want to bring the dire wolf back. Maybe it sounds like they're just doing it just because they can.
I was just going to say, because they can.
Right. That reminds me of an old quote in Jurassic Park. I think Jeff Goldblum said, you were too concerned about whether you could do something, but you didn't ask yourself whether you should.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't think I got that exactly right. But that's kind of the question here. But, well, no matter what, they have brought it back. So pretty soon you're going to be attacked by these dire wolves in cities all over the world.
I wanted to know what exactly a top predator was. So I looked it up, and the dictionary says an animal that is not hunted by other animals. Why? Well, it's at the top of the food chain. So it's a pretty fierce animal. Other animals have to fear it, but it feels pretty powerful, kind of like the lion of today. The lion's at the top of the food chain as well. So this news is stirring up excitement and debate. It's controversial because not everyone agrees that they should be doing this. I think you can tell we think it's crazy that they're doing it. You could say that it's a question that is something that's based on someone's ethics. Is it morally right? Is it something they should do? I know they can. We have the technology. We have the technology to do a lot of bad things for humanity. We'll see if the people that are in those labs can control themselves and try to help humanity instead. So these scientists, they use ancient DNA. Where did they get it from, Tom?
They extracted it from fossils, including a tooth that was at least 10,000 years old, and they also extracted it from a skull estimated to be over 70,000 years old. So I guess you can still get old DNA from things like that.
You couldn't until just recently. We didn't have the technology. Now they do.
Okay, that's possible. But in any case here, if you extract something, you just pull it out of something, like maybe you put some vanilla extract in your cake mix or something. It's just something that has been pulled out of vanilla. It's kind of concentrated or whatever. So they pulled it out. They got it from fossils, which of course are old rocks, old bones that are buried underground, and they've been turned to stone. And we have a tooth that was 10,000 years old, and a skull. That's the head bone in your head, your skull. And they estimated it was over 70,000 years old, so they probably used carbon dating or whatever, and they were able to figure out, well, it's more or less 70,000 years old. We don't know the exact number, but it's about that old.
Another new technology that they were able to put into practice is the editing of genes. So nowadays, as you know, maybe if you don't follow science, you don't know, but they can edit genes. They can edit someone's DNA, which is kind of scary too. They are making super people over in some countries. We won't mention who. But yeah, they edited and combined genes from other animals. They modified the DNA of a gray wolf and successfully brought back that dire wolf. So it's not 100% dire wolf. It's got a lot of gray wolf DNA in it, or a lot of the gray wolf's genes inside. So if you're talking about genes, those are those little units in our bodies that carry traits from parents to their children, or from animals to their offspring. They were editing and combining genes, and that allowed them to bring that dire wolf back to life.
Well, that sounds real cool to bring a dire wolf back to life. Hopefully they'll work on bringing back people like Qin Shi Huang. Maybe they'll bring him back, or Abraham Lincoln, or whatever. Maybe they'll bring those people back. But who knows? Somebody might decide to bring back Stalin or Adolf Hitler or whatever. So this, of course, is controversial. And it says, however, the resurrected creature has sparked scientific and ecological concerns among experts. So if something is resurrected, well, it's brought back to life. If you're Christian, if you're religious, you know this term resurrection. That's when Jesus came back to life after he was crucified, the resurrection of Christ. But here the verb is to resurrect, which means to bring something back to life. And yes, they're resurrecting this creature. They're bringing it back to life. And of course, it sparked this debate. People are debating this. Should you be doing that? You shouldn't be messing around with that.
Here's the other argument or debate. They're saying, hey, it's not a true dire wolf. Remember, they took some of the genes from a gray wolf that is still in existence on this planet, and they used a lot of its DNA. Obviously, they needed some more DNA than the one little sample that they got from the fossils they found, the tooth and the skull. So they're saying, hey, you didn't really do what you're saying you've done. It's not a true dire wolf. It is genetically a gray wolf with some dire wolf traits. So it's not 100% a dire wolf. For those of you out there who are worried, it's not a true dire wolf. But still, I don't think it's smart to be playing around with nature. That's what they're doing. Genetically just means in a way that relates to genes or heredity. So maybe the animals were genetically modified so that they could survive in different climates. I know with plants, especially flowers and even food that we raise, it's sometimes genetically modified. If you go to the store, sometimes you'll see GMO, genetically modified organism. Not everybody feels good about eating that food. So just so you know what to look for, it's GMO. Here in Taiwan, they have a different 说法. What is it? It's I asked them one day,
can't think of it right offhand,
I couldn't understand their sign. It was my breakfast shop, and they said that means no GMO.
Well, that would be nice to ask that question, but technically this is an all-English unit, so we're not supposed to tell you how to say that in English. As you said, if something's genetic, that means it has to do with genes, and this is an adverb, so it's genetically a gray wolf with some dire wolf traits, maybe big and has the similar teeth or whatever.
基因改造生物. So if you see the 基因, that's what I was saying. What does that mean?
You just broke a law there.
Rule.
You spoke Chinese there,
no.
But in any case, GMO, that's what that is.
Yeah.
And others worry that if released into the wild, if they let this creature run wild, it might disrupt modern ecosystems and harm existing wildlife populations. We've got lots of examples of that, introducing animals into certain areas. Mm-hmm. Of course, here in Taiwan, there are lots of invasive species that have been brought in, like fire ants came in a while ago. Luckily, they fought them off. They're not around anymore.
Those are awful.
But there are other animals that have gotten into different areas. I think they brought, rabbits into, was it Australia or something? Or I can't remember. There's some kind of animal they brought in that totally destroyed local animal there. So this is kind of what they're saying here. If you let this wolf run wild, it will probably become the top predator, and it will disrupt modern ecosystems, and the food chain will be, seriously affected. We might all starve to death. Who knows?
We don't know. So that's what is worrisome to people. Now, despite these concerns or worries that people have, Colossal Biosciences has big plans for the future, of course. They are aiming to bring back a very famous animal called the woolly mammoth that you can see if you go to natural history museums. The woolly mammoth is that large, hairy, extinct animal that kind of looks like an elephant, and he was alive in the Ice Age. So that's their next project, it sounds like, and they've got a date for this. They think they can bring him back by 2028. It's a pretty ambitious goal, but it raises broader or even more questions about humanity's role in nature. And here's that important word, the ethics, whether something's morally right or wrong, and not just something that is scientifically possible to do, because then we have to talk about this word, de-extinction, which is new.
Interesting word. Of course, extinction is when animals disappear, like dinosaurs or the woolly mammoth or whatever. And de-extinction basically means you're bringing back a creature that was extinct before. Is that right or wrong? You can discuss that amongst yourselves. And that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. There's no Chinese teacher today. And that's it for today. So thanks for joining us. And also make sure you check out our content on YouTube and Facebook. We'll see you next time. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.